So what do the Spurs board do next? Do they sack Antonio Conte now with 10 Premier League games to go, bring in an interim manager or indeed a permanent manager now? Or do they wait until the summer when Antonio Conte's contract ends and hopefully we get European football next season? Or do the board look to sell the club now? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping well. So, some explosive comments from Antonio Conte in his press conference post-match. Southampton 3, Tottenham Hotspur 3. I think it took a lot of fans by surprise what Antonio Conte said. I think a lot of fans, most fans, are very pleased about what Antonio Conte said. But this episode is all about what do the board do next? Do they sack Antonio Conte now with 10 games to go? I have absolutely no doubt personally that Antonio Conte has upset the players. I have absolutely no doubt that he has upset the board. Do the board act now? Because, of course, it is very clear that Antonio Conte is not going to be Spurs manager next season. He hasn't committed to the club and the club haven't committed to him. But do the Spurs board act now, sack Antonio Conte with 10 games to go? Because for me personally, I think that he has probably upset a number of players in the Spurs dressing room. And my biggest worry as a Spurs fan right now is, are these players going to play for him in the remaining 10 games? Although I agree with a lot of what Antonio Conte said when he called out every single player and said that all 11 players are playing for themselves, I'm just going to pick out a random one or two players here. Fraser Forster. What on earth has Fraser Forster done? In my opinion, he's come in. He's done a good job since Hugo Lloris has been injured. I don't think he's playing as an individual player and not part of a team. Pedro Porro, brand new signing. I don't think he is doing that either. I think it was very unfair of Conte to say about all 11 players, although I agree with everything else that Antonio Conte said. Now, many people write me messages and many people send me comments in on YouTube, audio, Instagram, Twitter, etc. And a lot of people seem to think that I don't call the board out a lot or at all. I feel that I am very balanced on this channel. I feel that I see things for what they are. And if someone needs to be criticised, then I criticise them. And I believe that I have done that since this channel started. Players, managers, the board, decisions. I have said on a number of occasions that I feel in recent years that the board have made some dreadful decisions. Sacking Pochettino was a dreadful decision for me. Sacking Jose Mourinho 6 days before a cup final was a dreadful decision for me. Nuno Espirito Santo, of course, that turned out to be a terrible decision. I said during the 72 days that we didn't have a manager that the board need to have ambition and they need to be focused about the future. I, as a Spurs fan, want to see trophies at my club, and we are starved of trophies at Spurs. Our last trophy, 2008, our last FA Cup, 1991. It is absolutely ridiculous. I want to see success at our football club. I am not a fan of the board. I am a fan of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. I want any decisions that are made by the football club to be, good for the club, good for the fans. There is also this narrative by a number of other channels, if you like, and a number of Tottenham Hotspur fans, and I get this on a regular basis. You don't shout, swear, jump up and down. You don't go to protest. You don't do this. You don't do this against the board because you receive a number of perks, channel sponsors, blah, blah, blah. Let me just put this straight, for the record. Any sponsors that I have currently or have had in the past, none of them have ever said to me, Chris, you cannot say X, Y, and Z against a particular player, against a particular board member, against Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Nobody has ever said that to me, and I doubt they ever would. And I think if anyone ever said to me that you couldn't say something on your channel, I don't think that I would like that, and I don't think that I would be in any sort of partnership with them. As I say, I feel that I'm very balanced about things. There is another thing that a lot of people keep saying, which is completely untrue, is that I receive a lot of perks directly from Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and this is the reason why I don't say, you know, lots of things that people want me to say, that they believe. You know, we all have different beliefs, but at the end of the day, we're all Spurs fans, and we all want the same thing. We want success. But let me just put the record straight here. I do not receive any perks whatsoever from Spurs. It's weird, actually, because not only strangers, people who don't know me, even friends and family have said to me, Chris, you must receive perks of some kind from Spurs, you know, things you do, covering the club, etc. I cover the club, and I run this YouTube channel as a bit of fun. And, you know, it's hard sometimes because I put out daily content, and when things aren't going well, you know, you're not in the best mood to do it. This was started as fun. This was started, you know, every single time I put out a video or an audio clip, it was because I enjoyed doing it. I still very much enjoy running this channel, although, you know, some of the subjects that we cover sometimes, and some of the defeats sometimes, and some of what happens at the club sometimes, you know, you don't feel like talking about it sometimes, but we do the shows straight after the matches, so sometimes the reaction is very raw. But as I say, whatever happens at this football club, whatever happens with the board, I want the best for this football club. I don't care who is in charge of the football club. I want success. Now, my thoughts on Antonio Conte's comments in the press conference. Of course, he called out the players. He called out the board. He said about us losing the FA Cup. Now, anyone who watches this channel or listens to this channel on a regular basis, you will know every single time we go out of a cup competition, it is when I am the most upset. Sheffield United away, coming out of the cup competition. And of course, over this weekend, we have seen 4 teams go into the semi-finals of the FA Cup. It upset me a lot. Antonio Conte chose a weakened team to put out in the FA Cup. Now, you know, whether the board tell the managers, you know, that top 4 is the most important because it brings in the most money. I want to see a cup success. I was very disappointed when I saw that lineup that Antonio Conte put out. In my opinion, I would have gone extremely strong. I would like to have seen Spurs really go for the FA Cup this year, and I feel that it is a massive, massive opportunity missed. Now, Antonio Conte's comments, as I've said, I do agree with most of what Antonio Conte said. Has he crossed the line with the board? I would be surprised if, and I said this on the previous episode, I would be surprised if Antonio Conte is the manager come Monday morning. I believe that a lot of the stuff that he said probably should have been done behind closed doors. I know a lot of fans have very strongly said to me in the last 24 hours, no, Antonio Conte was right to do it in public. That's your opinion. I have a different opinion. I think that some of the comments probably should have been done privately. Perhaps they have been as well. Perhaps this is Antonio Conte's final dig, you know, final thing before he leaves the football club. But the most important thing for me going forward is, should Antonio Conte, and I think this is a massive, massive decision for the board yet again, and we've seen them making big decisions over recent seasons. Will the players play for Antonio Conte in the remaining 10 games? That is the big question. If the board have any doubt about that whatsoever, then they need to pull the plug now. They need to let Antonio Conte go 10 games early. His contract ends in June anyway. Let him go early, bring in an interim manager, or if they have a real plan in place, then make the change. Now, one thing that I feel the board really need to do now is have a plan. And I've said this in the last couple of seasons. ever since really Mauricio Pochettino left. If you are going to bring in another serial winning manager, someone like Thomas Tuchel or someone like Luis Enrique, managers that have been there, done it, and won trophies, quite similar to Jose Mourinho, won a trophy everywhere he went. Antonio Conte won trophies everywhere he's managed. And of course, very successful as a player as well. If you are going to bring in another serial winning manager, then you've got to give them the money to spend. We have to back them 100%. No club signings. Give them the players that they want. I have said this on numerous videos. I know people, keep saying, why are you not calling out the board? Why are you not, saying what you really feel? I am. I have constantly said it. I'm not one of these people to shout, swear, jump up and down, throw objects, so you know how I feel that way. I feel like I'm very balanced on here. But I do feel, again, and I will say it again, the board need to have a plan, a clear plan. If you're going to go down another serial winning manager route, you have to give them the money. I know the board in recent months have come out and said in a statement that we have spent money in transfer windows. It's true, but we have spent money very badly. If you or I went out and bought a car or a washing machine and it didn't work properly, what would it mean? We would need to either go and exchange it, or we would need to go and buy a new one if that one was faulty and it was our problem. Now, we have gone out and bought a replacement, but they haven't been good enough. We haven't spent enough money. We all know as Spurs fans, and I've said this and criticised the board a number of times on this same subject, that, you can go on Harry Redknapp, for example, going back then, Mauricio Pochettino, we're so close to being successful, to going to that next level, getting to that next step. And instead of investing the money that we should have invested, we didn't. We went for a cheaper option. So that's what I feel that really does need to change. If you're going to go down the route of another serial winning manager, back them, or go down the route of a project manager who is going to take time, is going to build, bring a number of players through the youth system, etc. But as Pochettino said a couple of years ago, you have a fantastic stadium, you have a mansion, you need the furniture to put in it. He was absolutely right. And I said that at the time as well. We need to spend more money. We need to invest. How many times do you, if you listen to this channel on a regular basis, 518 days without a signing under Mauricio Pochettino. He took us to a Champions League final and then got sacked the following November. In my opinion, he had more than enough credit in the bank, to keep his job. And, when I think of the Spurs board, that is the decision I always think about. The Pochettino decision, it was a wrong one. Now, if you're going to go down the route of a project manager, of course, a plan still needs to be put in place. But the Spurs board, they always require, European football. And we have had European football at the stadium for years, which, of course, all of us Spurs fans love European football. We want to be playing in the best competitions possible, i.e. the Champions League. Of course, players like Harry Kane want to be playing in the Champions League. Yes, in recent seasons, we've played in the Europa League under Jose Mourinho, and of course in the Europa Conference League under Nuno Espirito Santo, and a short time under Antonio Conte. That is not where we want to be. Whatever type of manager you bring in and whatever decision the board make next, they want European football. So we've got to be investing a lot more money. We've got to be, going for bigger things. We want a trophy. We want success. We want to see the bus parading down that high road. We've got, how many times do all of us say it? All the YouTube channels, all of the podcasts, every single guest that comes on my show, on other shows, we all say the same thing. We've got a fantastic stadium. We've got some fantastic players. We've got a fantastic training ground, fantastic facilities. But where are the trophies? How many times do we all get bantered about the lack of trophies? I want success at this football club. And, the board really do need to look at themselves in that aspect, because, you know, even they come out recently in a statement saying that, you know, we've had a number of semi-finals, we've had a number of finals, we've invested money, etc. But things now need to be done a different way. Now, a number of Spurs fans state, you know, why do the club not sell up? Why does Daniel Levy, Joe Lewis, etc., why do they not sell up now? There is so much more money for them to make. And there are so many things going on at the moment, so many plans in place, lots of developments around the ground, lots of projects, including naming rights. They haven't been sold yet. Of course, we've got the karting track going in underneath the stadium. There are so many things going on. This is not the time for them to sell, you know, because they have too many projects going on, and I can't see it. I cannot see them selling up in the near future. So if they're not going to sell up, I just feel that they have to do things differently. You know, there was all this talk about a fan advisor going on the board. We haven't heard any more about that. And before anyone shouts and asks the question, no, I'm definitely not interested in that, because whoever takes that role will be severely criticised by the Tottenham Hotspur fan base, probably saying the same things as what they've said to me about having perks and having this, that and the other, which probably won't be true. I can't see the board selling up, so things have to be done differently. And the two things, the one path that we have to go down is either serial winning manager, back them, give them the money, or project manager. And we all know exactly where we are as Spurs fans, whether we will be going for a top 4 spot. Are we going for the FA Cup? Do we want success? Do we want a trophy at this club?